All right, so hello everyone, and thank you for taking time or making time to attend, and certainly for volunteering. So again, I guess I have to say this meeting is being recorded, and we'll make it available afterwards on the first our internal first site in case you have to jump off early, get disconnected, or just want to review it again. So. I want to preface this by saying, this isn't all you're going to get. Really, your safety advisor guide is the information and has all the information you're going to need. So make sure that you familiarize yourself with that and have that handy with you, because that's really kind of your SOP for being a safety advisor. So we're going to talk a little bit about the roles and responsibilities of the safety advisor, a little bit about our philosophy, and how we coach and mentor, and then a little bit about the events themselves. And then we have David Newry, who's going to demonstrate a new app that will be made available to all of you for scoring. So we'll go over that too. So I know we have a lot of new people that have never done the role of safety advisor, but we have a lot of returning people also. So those of you who have done this, a lot of this is going to be a rehash of what you've already know. So bear with us. So again, the safety advisor is a critical role at DeFirst Robotics. We impact the overall safety of the event. We're very visible at the event, wearing our red shirts with the UL logos. Obviously, it's physically active. We're standing on hard surfaces. We're walking a lot, talking to a lot of people, so it does take a physical toll. And you want to make sure that you give yourself enough time to be prepared before you get there, that you reviewed the guides and all of the things like that. Of course, the participating at the event takes time. There are long days. And then afterwards, any feedback you can provide back to us is much appreciated, so we can make the experience better for everyone moving forward. So what do you do when you're at these events? Well, we're monitoring the overall safety of the event, looking for unsafe behavior. We're coaching teams, and we say we're looking for unsafe behavior, but we're also looking for safe behavior, and we want to make sure we respond accordingly and acknowledge safe behavior also. We definitely don't want to be seen as like the safety police. We want to make sure it's a coaching, mentoring type of relationship, a back and forth with the students, again, so that they don't see us as a police. So during the event, we're performing an ongoing assessment of the team behavior and recognizing and rewarding the safe behaviors of the teams and the individuals. Hopefully I don't lose audio, but if I do, since I can't see the IM as I'm presenting, maybe someone can text me or something. I don't want to talk to myself. So what do we do? Again, at the event, we're talking about our roles and responsibilities. We are encouraging and demonstrating gracious professionalism. If you've never been involved with FIRST before, that's a term that Woody Flowers coined. I think they've trademarked it. So gracious professionalism. We want to be respectful of others. Again, proactive communication. We don't just want to wait for the students to come up to us. We want to have a back and forth with them, and again, point out positive things, but also obviously anything that may be an issue. So we're looking for safe behaviors and acknowledging them. Again, we don't want to just be focusing on negative things. I think child psychologists tell you that for every one negative thing or one correction, for lack of a better word, that you express to a young adult, it's going to take 10 positive things to make up for the burn or the sting of that one negative thing. So we want to, again, make sure we're using that coaching, mentoring approach. So we're looking at their behaviors. How are they doing in their pits? How are they moving the robot? How are they doing using tools? Are they using the right tools? Also, we're looking at the physical conditions of their pit area. Is it neat? Are they keeping it, neat and tidy? Are there hazards in there? Maybe trip hazards, things like that. Are tools put away? So that's part of it. We also want to make sure they're using the right personal protective equipment. Safety glasses, gloves if they need it, using the right tool for the right job. If they have long hair, is their hair tied back? If they're working on the robot, all of those things come into play. We want to use a hazard-based safety approach when we're emphasizing kind of, if we see something that's unsafe. We'll talk a little bit more about that hazard-based safety approach here in a minute. And again, focus on the positive reinforcement versus the punishment. And be that coach, be that mentor. We've all had good teachers in the past, and we've all had lousy teachers in the past, and kind of draw on what the experiences you've had with the good teachers and coaches. Again, can't say it enough. Encouraging the positive behavior is preferred over the negative reinforcement. Coach rather than direct. Make sure the students understand exactly what you're telling them. There is a segment of the safety advisor guide that talks about a stand down, and again, that is the extreme. That's when there's something that's kind of an imminent danger. Use that very sparingly, if at all. I think in my 13 or how many years I've been doing this, I've only had to do that like once or twice. So, and honestly, it wasn't the students each time. It was one of the adult mentors that caused that. So hazard-based safety principles, and what are we talking about when we say that? There's several steps involved. First is identification of a hazard. The second step would be elimination of the hazard. If elimination of the hazard is not possible, how would we mitigate that hazard? For instance, guarding against that hazard causing harm. Maybe moving that hazard to an area that's would not be as impactful to those around it. Maybe warning people around it that, hey, there is a hazard here. So there's different ways you can mitigate a hazard. Those are just a few. And then it's important at the end to review what the students have learned, what they've gained from the interaction, so that it's something they can take with them and understand what to do when a similar situation arises in the future. So here's just an example that we use each year. If you can think about a multi-function tool, it's kind of like a Dremel tool, and they're using a cutting wheel. It's got sharp edges and it's sparking. It's making a high-pitched sound. So that's a hazard. You got the sparks, you got the loud noise. So first we say, can we eliminate that hazard? Can we maybe replace the cutting wheel with something else, a different tool? Maybe they're not using the right tool for that particular type of material. If that's not the case, then how can we mitigate the hazard? So we could use a guard or something around the cutting wheel to make sure that the sparks are not leaving one pit going into another, or getting close to something that may be flammable. Making sure that people have hearing protection that are nearby, removing any flammable materials. Can we contain that hazard? Can we maybe take the robot and the tool to the machine shop? Some of these events will have machine shops that you can use. Is that a possibility? If none of those work, then maybe we need to warn people around and the user and the people in the pits next to them that, hey, there's going to be a hazard here for a little bit. Be aware. And again, it's important at the end to review that with the teams and make sure that everyone understands why it was a hazard and the steps that you took to help them mitigate that hazard. Excuse me. Before the event, leading up to your event, I know some of these are starting, I think, this week, but certainly next week, I think, is the big weekend where a lot of them start to happen. Again, make sure you review that safety advisor guide, have a copy with you, print it out or an electronic version. because that has all your answers in it, and tells you pretty much exactly what you need to do. Make sure you register in the FIRST Volunteer Information Management System, which you do via the FIRST site, the FIRST website, because they do have to do a background check, and it also gives your information to the local volunteer coordinator for the event you're volunteering at. Review the team safety manual. We have the safety advisor guide. That's internal for us. That's our SOP. But the teams have a team safety manual that I believe there's a link to on our internal FIRST site for volunteers at UL. So there is a team safety manual that the teams get, and they kind of gives them the lowdown on what they need to do. So you want to familiarize yourself with that also. Also, if a lot of these sites or a lot of these local events will have their own website for your regional or your district that will have a lot of information. It may even have some discounts on hotels. It will tell you where to park. It will have the agendas. You'll also get emails from the volunteer coordinators at your event with specific information. So be sure to check your clutter or your junk folder, because sometimes if it's a weird address, it may not come to your inbox. So be on the lookout for those types of communications about 1 to 2 weeks out from when your event will be is scheduled to take place. So on the day of your event, what you want to bring with you, there are some scoring sheets. Those are optional. You can use just a pad of paper, or you can use whatever you want. Again, David's going to go over an app that he developed that's pretty slick. That's I think a lot of you are going to want to use. So again, the scoring sheets it's your discretion on what you want. You will need to bring safety glasses. Make sure they're ANSI Z rated. That is the requirement. They have to have side shields. If you have prescription safety glasses, they still have to have the ANSI Z rating and have the ANSI side shields. If you wear prescription glasses but do not have prescription safety glasses, you're going to need to get the glasses that you can wear like over top of your regular everyday glasses. So again, safety glasses are a must with the side shields. It's good to have a permanent marker or Sharpie with you, and we'll get into what you're using that for here in a minute. Your trustee safety advisor guide. There's a safety captain meeting checklist that's in the safety advisor guide. I typically print one of those out for each safety captain the first day and hand them out during the safety captain's meeting. Usually they have clipboards there, but if you really want to make sure you have one, you may want to bring it because they could get snagged up before you arrive. Your attire, the most important thing obviously is shoes. Most of us wear, I think, our athletic shoes or sneakers. You don't have to wear safety shoes, but whatever shoes you do wear, they have to cover your entire foot. So your toes, the top of your foot, your heel. So no Crocs, no flip-flops, none of that type of stuff. It's got to be a full covering shoe. Jeans are fine, khakis are fine. We do advise that you wear long pants though, because you are basically in an industrial setting with sharp edges around and metal chips flying and things like that. So it's good to have long pants, especially if you're in a cold environment. Safety advisor shirts, the red shirts, should be sent to you well before your event. If you haven't gotten them, I would suggest reaching out to Elaine. Safety volunteer vest. So there are people at these events on your safety team who are not UL employees. So the UL employee safety advisors wear the red shirts. The non-UL safety volunteers wear a vest, and the vest is in everything else that's shipped to the event, and we'll go over that in a minute. And it's a vest that kind of similar to what you might wear, like you see the guys on the highway working. It's kind of a reflective, I think they're yellow vest that they just wear over their volunteer shirt. and be ready for long days on your feet. When you get there, you want to make sure you reach out and introduce yourself to the volunteer coordinator who's ever kind of in charge. It's typically the volunteer coordinator, but there's other people that you want to introduce yourself to, like you want to know where the paramedic station is, the lead queuer, the person who um, kind of makes sure the teams are on the field when they're supposed to be. A lot of times they're going to be a lot of feedback on teams as far as how they behaved, getting the robots on and off the field and kind of in the heat of competition. So it's good to have a relationship with them. The pit admin is kind of the information station for everything at the event. They're going to make announcements for you. Sometimes they're the same person. Sometimes you have a separate announcer. But pit admin is a good person to rely on. Again, the event coordinator, and then anyone at the facility who may be able to help you out. Some of these are at arenas, some of these are at high schools, but there's typically someone there who has keys to doors that won't open and can move trash cans out of the way and things like that. So again, when you get there, everything that we haven't mentioned before that you will need will be sent in a box for the safety advisors. You're going to have your hard hat pins, the Star of the Day pins, the number 1 and pit safety posters, the safety champions cards, and the vests for the safety volunteers is all going to be shipped to the event. The safety award that's given at the end will not be in with this. That will be shipped with the rest of the awards, so you won't have to worry about that. And then we also ask that anything that's left over, if you have leftover pins, leftover cards, obviously the volunteer vests need to go back in the crate, but put it back in the box that they had given you so they could be shipped and repurposed so that we're not wasting anything for the events that follow. So yeah, just to review, you want to make sure you know the ins and outs of the safety advisor guide and the hazard-based safety principles. Kind of remember our philosophy on rewards and recognition. We want to be the coach and the mentor. We don't want to be the safety police. I just can't say that enough. That's, again, when we're at these events, everyone knows that we're if we have the red shirt on, we're an employee of UL. It's important that we represent UL just as we would if we're at any customer, any speaking engagement, or any trade show, or any customer meeting. We want to make sure we represent UL the way that UL is deserving to be represented. So it's important to keep that in mind. A lot of times the students will ask you about UL and what you do there. One of the very unique things that UL brings as volunteers is we have people from all types of careers. We have marketing people, we have technical people, IT people, HR people, sales people, all kinds of people volunteer for these events, and not every one student at these events wants to be an engineer someday. There's plenty of them that want to be nurses or teachers or sales or business, whatever. So a lot of them are going to want to talk to you and kind of figure out what led you to where you're at and made you make your career choices and things like that. So talk to them about it, help them. They're at that time in their life where they're trying to figure out, what do I want to do when I get out of high school and go to college. So I think that's a very unique thing that we bring to the events, is our very diverse workforce and the different things that we're involved with. So be aware of pitfalls and patterns. Safety glasses. Want to make sure they're wearing those. Pretty much most events, it's anywhere in the pits, in the aisles of the pits and things like that, around the main playing field, the practice field. It's pretty much everywhere. Visitors on the second day, usually you're going to start seeing visitors come in, whether it's mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, or whether it's just people off the street, because these are free and open to the public. So you have people coming in just to see what it's all about. other students from the high school that these teams were a part of may come to root them on if they're local. I always stress to the safety captains of each team that it's kind of their responsibility to make sure that their visitors, have safety glasses, have the right footwear, have the right behavior in the pit areas, and kind of give them some responsibility as far as the people coming to see them, and ask them to help kind of make sure people are doing what they're supposed to. We also look at how they transport their robots from their pits to the playing fields, to the practice fields. Obviously, their pit areas too, their work surfaces. Are they keeping the floors clean? Are they putting their extension cords away? Water bottles, things like that. So it's, the whole picture. So as the UL representatives at these events, if you find there's a safety volunteer or someone who's on the safety team that's not a UL employee, and they're not really doing it in the spirit, that we are kind of promoting here about mentoring and coaching and all of that, try to coach them and help them understand, what our purpose is at these events. If you find that they're really just not a good fit, maybe suggest to the volunteer coordinator that, this person isn't really doing, what our expectations kind of lay out for the safety advisor role, and they can find them maybe something else to do. So hopefully that won't happen, but if it does, remember you're the safety advisor, and it's your safety team. So in the end, it's up to you. So one of the things too to be prepared for during the event, as you narrow down the teams who are in contention for the UL Safety Award, you will be developing a couple sentences about that team that are unique to them, that the MC will use in the script that they recite before they hand out the award. And again, the safety advisor guide goes into more detail on that. Be available, be visible. Make sure you're a presence there. Let them know. With your interactions, they can come up to you anytime and ask you a question. It's not just when you come to their pit. And most importantly, have fun. There are things we call safety captains meetings. Everybody's event is going to be different, so there's no set schedule for this. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Typically, what I do is I have one in the morning of the first day, and it gives you a chance to introduce yourself to all the safety captains. To let them know, remind them of the things on that checklist, to let them know why you're there. A lot of times the safety captain, it may be their first year on the team, so they may have very little experience being at events, whether it's a district or a regional. So it's good to kind of break the ice and let them know that you're there to partner with them and things like that. So I do that in the morning, and then that same day, maybe later in the afternoon after lunch. And that gives them a chance to provide some feedback or ask any questions that may have come up, and gives you a chance to also provide them with any feedback from observations you've made during the day. The second day, you can do it in the afternoon, and the final day in the morning. But play it by ear. If even ask them, do you guys as safety captains want to do 2 a day? Do you want to do 1 a day? And work with them and help them be a part of the process. So these are the safety champions cards, and I put this slide right after the safety captains meetings because I found the best time and the best place to pass out these cards to the teams, and they get one for each day of the event, is at the safety captains meeting. So these are the cards that, as explained in the safety advisor guide, to where they can provide input on their peers. It helps them to, again, be a part of the process. It helps you to not just have your eyes on the event, but, every safety captain's eyes on the event. A lot of times, they're going to give you the best pit safety team the ideal person for the star of the day. But at the end of the day, it's really up to you and your discretion. If you see that there's someone maybe more deserving of star of the day, that maybe they didn't see what happened, or they don't have that person down, you can certainly make the decision that it's the person you think should be star of the day. Same with best pit and safety, but typically they're going to be spot on with what they suggest. So the awards, and there are several ways that we award the teams at these events. The big one is the safety award that UL sponsors. That's given at the end of the event with all the other awards. So this is the award. I guess the big one, as you could say, that is for the team that not only talks the talk. So they not only have a good safety program that's documented, that they can explain to you and show you, but they also demonstrate those types of behaviors in that program with how they act during the event and how they carry themselves. So it's that old saying, talk the talk and walk the walk. It's kind of the whole picture, right? So they may have a great safety program on paper, but every time you see them in the pits, there's horseplay going on, there's using the wrong tool, they're not lifting correctly, they never have their safety glasses on. So again, we're looking for that, that number one team that is, the whole package, right? So that's for the safety award. So you're looking at their safety culture, how they keep their pits, how their program was presented to you, anything they do maybe in the off season or at the event as far as community outreach or safety initiatives. You're going to see all kinds of things creative things that these teams do, well beyond just what happens those few days when you're with them. So again, you're looking at the big picture for this award, and only one team gets it. You typically want to have a short list of 3 to 5 teams that you kind of narrow down, just in case your number one team, hate to use the term, messes up, but they may do something that maybe disqualifies them from contention, right towards the end. So then you have to go to your number 2, 3, and 4 teams. So it's always good to have more than your top 3. I definitely suggest maybe your top 5. Get a short list. So again, this award is given out at the awards ceremony at the conclusion of the event. Another award that's given out at the event are the hard hat pins, and these are given to the 3 top teams. So the team that wins the UL Safety Award gets hard hat pins. The first runner-up and second runner-up, so number 1, 2, and 3 on your list, will get hard hat pins. The hard hat pins for the team that wins the award are handed out at the award ceremonies. Before the MC announces the winner of the UL Safety Award, they will also recognize the number 2 and number 3rd place teams. So there'll be a spot for that on your script that you hand to them. And they will be instructed to get their hard hat pins at the pit admin desk. So what you need to do, 1, provide the 2nd and 3rd place team numbers when you present the number 1 winning team. But secondly, you want to make sure that you give those hard hat pins to the pit admin before the award ceremony. And typically what I do is either put them in a bag or an envelope or something, and write the team numbers that are that they're going to on there, so the pit admin or whoever there can just hand it to the teams. Because toward the end of these events, as people were out of the contention and play, they start tearing down their pits. So it's hard to get a team together to give them those hard hat pins. So we just tell them to go to pit admin to pick them up. Star of the day, that's really presented to one individual each day. I say each day, not really the first day. So your first day, say if it's a Thursday, you have a star of the day for them for that day, but you won't give out the star of the day pin until the following morning, right? Because you won't have your feedback from your safety champions cards. You won't have your own observations to go on. So again, we're looking for one individual to be the star of the day. Um, and when you present these pins, any of these awards, the first in pit safety or whatever, try to do it when the whole team is there in their pit, and that's usually where we present these, is right there in their pit, because it's good that they all get to share in that recognition. They're going to want to take pictures. If their parents are there, they may want to take a picture of the safety advisors with the star of the day, and or the first in pit safety poster. So make a big deal out of it, because it is something that should be celebrated. So that's the star of the day. The number one in pit safety poster is the same type of situation. You'll have one for each day. This is an example of last year's first in pit safety poster. It was a video game theme last year. I'm sure the ones this year have the space theme on it. And we're just here, we're reinforcing, what you're looking for when you're judging the teams. Safe behaviors, physical conditions, etc. We say on here to score each team twice a day. Again, it's really up to you how you want to do it. Toward the end of the event, you're going to have a pretty good distinction of the top 3 or 4 teams, the middle kind of teams, and then the lower teams. It's important, though, that we don't ignore the teams that are not in that top 3 or 4, because it's the other teams that are going to benefit the most from our coaching and the most from our mentoring them. And those are the teams that if you went to like one of your top 1, 2, or 3 teams and you said, this team over here, they really don't have all that great of a safety program. They're just new at it. They're getting started. That team that's pretty advanced would love to go over and help that other team out. That's one of the great things about First and the culture they have, is that all these teams are helping each other out, and whether it's they need a spare part or help with a tool or advice or anything like that. So certainly, introduce them to each other and let them share ideas. So new for this year, those of you that have done it before, remember the housekeeping tour at the end of the day with the smiley face and the straight face and the frowny face. We don't do that anymore. We've discontinued it, so good for that. And then we also have a scoring app that's available, and I'm going to stop sharing so that David Nuri, who developed the app, can share with how we use it, and how to use it, how to get it, and what happens with all the data that we put into it.
Thank you, Dennis. I want to apologize. I'm sitting in a parking lot in the rain, so I'm not sure if that background noise can come through. Please let me know when you guys can see my screen.
We can see your screen. We can hear the rain. I'm joking, Dave.
Okay. All right, so this is the Safety Advisor app. You can download the app through Power Apps in your device's app store. So you go to the App Store for Apple or Android and look for Power Apps. And then once you've got Power Apps installed in your available apps, you should all see the Safety Advisor app. I shared it with everybody just before the meeting. So everybody should have access to it. So once you arrive at the event, you would click Start Here. And this is where you would choose the event. And I'll allow a delay for the lag. So first thing you would do is put the event that you're at. You can see here there's a list of all the events and who the volunteers are for the events. So I'm going to put in some of the information for an event. As an example, I'm going to use West Palm Beach, Florida, which is the event I'm going to be doing. And then you choose the event. And once you click on that button, it's going to come up with the next screen, which has the event that you're at on the very top of the screen, and you can change that if you selected the wrong one. And then the intent is that you're going to be walking around the pits, and you're going to have this app open. And as you walk up to a team to evaluate them, you would put in that team name. So I'll just use 234 as an example. And if you have a solid internet connection, it's going to come up with that team name. If you don't have an internet connection, don't worry about it. You can still proceed. This part where it shows the team name requires you to be connected to the internet, but the app will still work if you're not connected to the internet. It just needs to know the team number. So once you've entered the team number, click on the next page. And this is where you're actually going to provide your ratings for the team. So we have a text box up here so we can put in the name of the safety captain. Please try to keep it with only the first name. We don't want to collect last name information in the app, so please try to only have the first name of the safety captain. And you can also put multiple safety captains if more than one safety captain is there. Just please don't use any last names. So then you go through and select all the scores for each one of these questions, and you'll see the questions we have is organized with consideration to safety. Safety supplies are available, and we've got some examples like the first aid kit, fire extinguisher, battery spill kit, etc. Team has an effective safety outreach program. The team considers safety in their actions and values the safety captain role. And that's along the lines of what Dennis was saying and doing what they say they're going to do. And also you'll find that some teams maybe they have a really good safety program, but they don't really care what the safety captain says. So that's kind of an important piece of information there. And then the last question we have on there is the safety processes and presentation are easy to understand. So that's more on the presentation that they give you when they're trying to explain the safety program that they have and their communication with us. Now, as an option, you can add comments and rank, and this rank on the top here is designed for you to more towards the end of the event to go through and give every team that you have there a rank. So I could say this is my 6th best team, and you can put some comments, and then you go back to the previous page, and when you're done, you've got everything the way you want it, you click the check mark, and it's going to show you the records that are stored on your local device. And the reason why it does this is because at a lot of our events we won't have very good internet service. So we'll try to keep all the records on your local device, and then when you get good internet connection that's reliable, then you can click upload to server, and when you do that, it'll show you all of the records for that event, and all the ones that I have here are all test records, really just to show you guys. And you can see all the records for the event. You can see the rank that you've given everybody, the score. You can see some of the comments that you've put, who the safety captains were. If you're at an event with more than one safety advisor, you can see which safety advisor recorded that ranking and the time of the event. And then you can sort by all those things. So, and if you click the sort button more than once, it'll reverse whatever the sort was. Okay. Then once you've completed that team, you can click Write Another, and it'll start over from the top. That's pretty much it. It's pretty self-explanatory. When you go back to the home after you've selected an event, you'll see that event at the top. You can click that if you need to change it. We also have this resources button, which will have the safety manual PDF. This is a link directly to the safety manual that's on the first website. The safety advisor description is also a link to the first website. That's the lead safety advisor description. We also have the safety advisor description. And then we have our safety advisor guide, and this is a link to our intranet website. We have some interview question examples. I believe they were provided by Ken Vesey. I don't recall, but I think it was him. And then this is a little bit old now, but there is a link to a YouTube video that shows the difference between regular polycarbonate safety, non-safety glasses and polycarbonate safety glasses that are Z-rated that Dennis was referring to. So that if you do have students that say, oh, these glasses are safe, they're polycarbonate, you can always have that option to show them a YouTube video that shows the difference. And then there is a link to the UL First SharePoint site that has been put together for everyone. That's pretty much it. There, in the SharePoint site, there will be instructions on how to download the app and install it. It is pretty self-explanatory. Again,
David?
it is Power Apps. Yes, it sounds like
Hey,
Elaine.
it's me.
Yeah.
Is this app for UL employees only?
Yes.
So
Only
safety,
UL employees will be able to use it.
so safety volunteers will have to do the paper and pen.
Exactly. Yeah, this uses our UL credentials for access. So in order for you to use it, you have to have UL credentials. Good question. Thank you, Elaine. I didn't even think of that.
Oh, it's not me. They're coming up. I've got more. Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
A little bit of confusion about how to log in. So it's your username. I think people trying this the first time are trying to go through the steps, and you didn't have to do that because you already had it loaded.
Yes, this uses our Microsoft credentials. So if you've ever been on a SharePoint site within UL, then you've entered those credentials in before.
So like when they registered for their event, when they went to the SharePoint site to register for an event, they used their 5-digit employee ID and their email password.
It's there. Here, let me get out of this full screen mode, and I'll show you.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be it. Yeah.
This is your login for Microsoft. Mine is my employee number at global.ul.com, and then my Windows password. So whatever password you use to log into Windows.
Yeah, that did not work for this one. I tried getting into the app. It did not work.
Nope, me either.
It worked for me.
Hey guys, this is
It worked for
Francisco.
me.
I just tried the app and I just asked for my credentials and my email address. I put in my name and AUL.com.
It's at globalul.com.
Yeah, just my first last name AUL.com, and then they asked me to select my username, it came up automatically. My employee number at globalul.com. I did that and I got into the app. Flawless.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm into the app on my browser on my work computer, but trying to bring this up on my phone, it's no dice.
All right, well, we're unfortunately, because there's 80 people on the call, we're not going to be able to troubleshoot everybody during this this training. But please reach out to me if you've tried the app on your phone individually, and I'll work with everyone on a one-by-one basis.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or anybody who's gotten in, help someone else. Okay.
Yeah, that would be nice as well. Thank you, Elaine.
Yes, we can all help
Tammy.
each other.
I can help anybody if you need.
Yes. All right.
Thanks,
are there any
David.
questions unrelated to logging in?
David, this is Tammy again. So what if, for example, say like you rated a team great at like when you saw them in their first time you saw them, they were great as a culture, but then you continued to walk around and you wanted to change a rating. How do you change it?
Excellent, Tammy. Thank you for the question. All right, so I should have gone over that. I didn't even think of it. So once you're on the online records, so this is the event records, and you have to have internet connection to do this, you'll see a little I up here for information, and when you click on that, it brings up a new form that allows you to change everything that you already entered. All right, so you can go through, you can change all the scores, you can change your comments, you can change the event rank, and then when you're done, you just hit your check mark, and it'll update that record.
New question, David. Does the information store from each event so that information from districts is shared to district championships? Or would you just go back? Yes?
Well, you would look at team records, but you can also go through, and if you're at, let's say I'm not at South Florida Regional, but I want to see the records for another event. So I'll put in Dallas as an example. You can choose that event, and it'll show the records if you go to the records. Right now, there are no records for that event because we haven't started yet.
But there's also a way to just look up a team and see every event they've been to and how they did?
Yes, so if you go to the team records search and you put in the team number, it'll come up with any records for that team. So you can see here I put 1 and Juggernauts came up. I put in 2, 3, 4, which I entered in before, or maybe I didn't do 2, 3, 4. Like I said, there's not a lot of records in here right now, but if you enter the team number, it'll show up there.
I think that answers the question. Thank you.
Yep.
I guess that assumes that people are using the app, and we might not be all using it. So
that's correct. This app is optional. However, I can tell you that we will all benefit if more of us use it. So please use it. Provide feedback. We in the Yammer group for First Robotics. Please provide feedback there. And if you have any questions, also reach out to me. Dennis, I yield the remaining time.
Thank you, sir. Very good job. looks like a interesting tool. Let me share again. So I did see one question about, as I was trying to review some of the questions about the hard hat pins and why we changed the way we give those out. And really the main reason is that the teams kind of caught on that if we go out and talk to the second and third place team and give them their hard hat pins before the award ceremony, then they automatically know they're not the winner of the award. And I saw a few times where their faces just went blank, like, oh, I'm getting the hard hat pin, J, I'm not getting the award. So we thought it would be more suspenseful and better to keep kind of our cards, close to us until the very end. And then they also get announced, the second and third place teams, right there at the end. So that was the reason behind it, and why we changed our process on the hard hat pins for those that have been around a while. So in conclusion, be prepared. All these events are different. You never know, anything can happen, right? So be aware, be positive for sure, and certainly be approachable. And while you're at your event, take pictures, share your experience. We have that First Robotics Yammer page on the UL Yammer, and it's always great to see the different photos, the teams, and star of the days and things like that. So feel free to share it on the Yammer page. Questions, you can also get questions answered there. May not get as quick a response depending on the time of day, but it's also a good place to answer questions, share experiences. Also, while you're at your event, even if it's kind of after hours, certainly don't hesitate to reach out to me, text or email or phone call, and I'll do my best to get back to you with an answer. So don't hesitate if you feel like you're stuck or have a question, reaching out to me. So I guess, in conclusion, thank you, and I hope you enjoy it as much as those of us that keep coming back and doing this year after year enjoy it. It's a very rewarding experience, and certainly impressive to see what these teams do each year in such a short amount of time. So unless there's any general questions, if you have anything specific, you can certainly email myself or Elaine afterwards. David, if you have an app question, for sure, and we'll try to get back to you. But if there's nothing, we will adjourn.
Dennis, this is Tammy. I have one quick question. So I actually talked to you about this previously, but for the good of the group. So previously we were there for like the load-in, and then the 2 days of the event for districts. So are we supposed to be there load-in, or are we supposed to be there just for the first day and second day?
I will defer to my esteemed colleague Elaine.
Hey, Tammy, thank you for the question. That's a little bit of a hot topic this year. So I have been asked, when at all possible, to encourage advisors to go in on the morning of the first full day. Now, that being said, Tammy, I can tell you that UL officially asked first to have safety volunteers cover load-in. I can also tell you that if you are going to a district event in a remote location, personally, in my opinion, there's no way you can get there on the morning of the first full day. So those are the things that I know, correct? So if you cannot arrive at your event the morning of the first full day, meaning we all would like to be there when the event starts, but no later than 10 a.m., which is when your safety captain meeting would be. If you cannot do that, so that means what? Landing at 6 a.m., grabbing an Uber or a rental car, depending how far away your event is from the airport. If you cannot do that, then you need to go in the day before. And if you go in the day before, of course you would go to event unload.
Okie dokie.
Does that help?
Yep.
So it depends on our schedule and what works for us and the travel and everything.
Well, it depends on your schedule. It depends on where your event is, Karina. I would love to say it depends on you and your event, but I really got to try to stick to the politically correct answer, which is, doesn't it really depend on the location of the event, right? So if you're flying into Orlando, Florida, that's a busy airport with thousands of flights in and out every day, right? So it's possible I could land Thursday morning, grab an Uber, and be at the event on time, okay? But if I'm going to Flint, Michigan, there's just no way that's going to happen.
Okay. Mine
Right?
I'm driving to, so I have every option in the world. So
Okay.
that's why I'm confused, yeah.
Okay, and I don't want it to be confusing. What I want to say is think about the cost of that hotel the night of load-in. Do you need to be there for that? If you believe you need to be there because I can't drive 4 hours in the morning and get to my event
pretty much,
and then be there 12 hours,
Yep.
you make that decision.
Okay.
You don't need to call me, right? I'm here to help you, but you make the decision. What's safe for you to do? What makes sense? What's logistically possible for you to do?
Yeah, I don't want to wake up at 4 a.m. to drive 3 or 4 hours to get to my event.
And then be there
Korean,
until
I
all day.
agree.
p.m.
I have a
Yeah.
4-hour drive myself.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to be evasive or not crystal clear. I really want to be crystal clear, but you understand what I'm saying, right? If you can save that money, save that money. And if you can't, you can't.
Okay.
Okay? But
And if we can't, we have the option to go in during pit load-in day.
Right. I mean, if you're there, why wouldn't you, right? You would
Yeah,
go and meet your people because relationships matter at these events. You would go and meet your volunteers and get your safety team ready to go, right? And talk about all that in that relaxed atmosphere.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Understood.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Elaine.
You're welcome.
So one other thing that just came to my mind when you're at these events and say you've looked everywhere, but man, I don't have Star of the Day pins, or I don't have the hard hat pins, or the safety cards didn't show up. As soon as you find that out, and you should do that, one of the first things when you arrive is make sure you have all your supplies. If you find that you are missing something, then certainly let Elena or I or both of us know, and we can let First know to get those to you ASAP. So that seems every year there's one or two where something happens like that. So.
Right. Remember, all your supplies come from the event before you. In week 1, that doesn't matter, right? You're the first event. But in weeks 2 and weeks 3 and weeks 4, your supplies are coming from an event before you. Sometimes things get put in the wrong crate. They're normally in crate 11, which gets delivered to pit admin, and it's a big yellow envelope marked safety advisor week 1, safety advisor week 2, etc. That's what you're looking for, okay? But if you're in week 5, it's possible it got taken out of that envelope and thrown in a box and it's over in crate 3, that type of thing. And someone's dog is very happy.
Sounds awesome.
All right, so we've got 2 minutes left. If there's anything else, it's time to bring it up. If not, send us an email afterwards. And again, thanks everybody for for volunteering. It's you're certainly, if you've never done it, you're gonna love it. I'm pretty sure.
It's the hardest fun you'll ever have.
Exactly. All right, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye, everyone. Have fun.
Thank you.